Bharata, for the sound of the bell. Mind calm, body at ease, breathing quiet, sentiment benevolence. Dharma friends, sitting still in vital silence, wanting nothing, we practice Eco-Buddhism together. The sound of the temple bell booms for all to cease from conflict. May the way of Buddha usher in the dawn of non-violent global village forever. Here is the after sound of the bell. Thunder of silence, light after Dharma ring. Om Amoga Vairocana Mahamudra Mani Padma Chava Prarataya
Please follow along with these simple mindfulness exercises as fully present, moment by moment, as possible. Please stand and face your altar or this altar here at the temple for the chanting of the three refuges. Cisim quiram ne sivam samse chemam chale samju ilche Cisim quimiam ne sivam samse chemam chale samju ilche Cisim quimiam ne sivam samse chemam chale samju ilche And the English, please repeat after me. I go for refuge to the Buddha.
I go for refuge to the Buddha.
and resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
and realize the great way.
and realize the great way.
I go for refuge to the Dharma
I go for refuge to the Dharma
and resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will penetrate the teachings
I will penetrate the teachings
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
I go for refuge to the Sangha
I go for refuge to the Sangha
and resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many
I will seek peace and happiness for the many
and transform this world into Buddha land unimpeded.
and transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
Please return to your seats for another shorter period of meditation. Please come and sit around a little closer as we listen deeply to Mahum's reading of the Dhammapada in the chapter 5, The Fool.
This is a well-loved Dhammapada book. Pages falling apart. So good sign. Does the spoon taste the soup? A fool may live all his life in the company of a master and still miss the way. The tongue tastes the soup. If you are awake in the presence of a master, one moment will show you the way. The fool is her own enemy. The mischief she does is her undoing. How bitterly she suffers. Why do what you will regret? Why bring tears upon yourself? Do only what you do not regret and fill yourself with joy. For while a fool's mischief tastes sweet, sweet as honey, in the end it turns bitter. How bitterly they suffer.
So please bring it on. I'd rather it be closer. Please.
Yes.
The camera, no, the actual camera.
Like this.
No. After Buddha's birthday, flags still fly and lanterns harmonize in the wind. The altar is still decorated with those plastic flowers for the Buddha bathing and some fresh ones. Outside are mallard, pair of ducks come and go. Our apple tree is at a beautiful beginning stage of blossoming. And my very favorite, a bleeding heart, which has been 30 years under our ailanthus tree by the garbage cans, is coming into bloom. Yoo-hoo! Well, good morning and happy Mother's Day. Not, well, in the broadest sense of the word, happy Mother's Day to all those who nurture. And we say too that in this universe of endless space and time, of great interbeing and good old cause and effect, everyone has been our mother. And so besides this mother of our very own this time around, we must learn to respect and nurture all beings. Yeah. Which brings me to share with you another little story around my mother. A few Sundays ago, I shared with you the story of her dying and my place, my being with her. So it was in 1993, and we were at a breakfast over across at the temple, and it was springtime, and I had just heard that Mom had pancreatic cancer and that she was dying. And I was feeling bereft, talking with residents about it as we have over the years. We've had deep discussions at our breakfast table. And one resident from California, she was in the School of Public Health at the time, told me she wanted to help. And she told me that when she lived in California, she had been studying with a man by the name of E.J. Gold. And he wrote the book, The American Book of the Dead. And it was his American take on the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And he had a quite joyful community gathered around him to work with that American Book of the Dead for people who had passed, people who had parents and friends, acquaintances who had passed. And Helen, the student here at the temple, told me that she did this special 49-day practice that E.J. Gold was teaching for her father, who was still alive. And he was kind of stuck. And so she decided, because nothing else had worked to help him, that maybe this reading of the Bardo stages and the practices which E.J. Gold had recommended would help her dad. And so I decided to get the book and to learn more about the process of the readings and the chanting for helping my mom when she died. And I began to read other books about death and dying too. And it was a very meaningful process to me, because her death was, I went back and forth to Vancouver many times, but her death was so in my face. It's interesting, this morning, I was looking in the mirror. I'm coming closer to the camera. And every morning when I wash my hands and my face, I wet my hair and I brush it down because it's become very disheveled in the last couple of months. And I looked up at myself, and there in the mirror was my mom. And she used to put makeup on, and she had her hair dyed this dark purple in the last years of her life. So it was when she wasn't so fancy. And there I was, and there she was. So I'm really remembering her today. If I look at my body, my hands, they're hers. Even I was looking at the gray hairs coming out of my eyebrows, and so are hers. So it's a special time for us if our moms are still alive, and also if they've passed, because we are somehow still part of them. Yeah. So that's the first part. So happy Mother's Day, all you folks. Please nurture, 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 including yourself. The second part is for us to examine this whole thing from the American Book of the Dead and the Tibetan Book of the Dead about bardos and what they are. So I'd like to share with you something that I found in the current issue of Lion's Roar. And it was from an article, Breaking Open in the Bardo by Pema Khandro Rinpoche. And she says a little bit about the bardo, which I think is so relevant to us right now. Bardo is the state in which we have lost our old reality and don't yet know what our new reality might be. Bardo is the state in which we've lost our old reality and don't yet know what our new reality might be. It arises from disruption or rupture in our old way of seeing and being, and brings with it a sense of groundlessness and uncertainty. Our instinct is to fill in the story as quickly as we can, so that we can hold on to the sense of self and continuity that we're so used to in our lives. But when the rupture is big, that's very difficult to hold on like that. So it just seems very evident to me that we are in a bardo. The whole world is in a bardo. And our bardo, in a little way, is our sheltering in. We've been asked to shelter in, and it's been always for us, I think. There have been joys and sorrows that I've heard from people that I have been listening to. And we had, after last Sunday, a couple of people comment their concern that during the service, which was in this room, that we were too close together. They were worried about that. And I appreciate that concern, and I like to address it just a little bit. We were not trying to make some statement. I think because we have been respecting all the guidelines for sheltering in. And you may know that at the temple, we live as a Dharma family. So there is, in our work and in our practice, just the general closeness of a family. And so we're maybe here a little used to being a little closer together. When we go out into the community for groceries or medicine, which seem to be the main reasons for going out, masks are worn and rubber gloves are used when necessary. When we go for a walk, some of us wear masks, some of us don't, but we usually always keep a good 6 or 8 feet distance, if not more. We are great sanitizers. We routinely sanitize most of our buildings in the morning, sometimes at night. Our Buddha hall, where we practice in the morning, there we do our prostrations, meditation, and chanting at least 6 feet apart. We've got the whole place set up so it will be like that. Yeah. We are frequent hand washers and have a great supply of 3-fold paper towels. Yeah, I was looking at my personal bar of soap today. Started as a new one, and it's just a teeny one right now. I don't remember in the rest of my life washing my hands so much, nor within this period of time using up almost a whole bar of soap. I was going to bring it to show you as an example, but it's a little bit gooey right now. It's at that stage. Yeah. We're air drying the dishes when we wash them. And let's see, is there anything that I've missed, Maun?
I don't think so.
Yeah, Maun, I don't know if you heard her, she doesn't think that there's anything else. So when we did our Buddha's birthday singing, we had a couple of new people join in. They were people at the front, in front, and they kept it, I think they kept their distance, but perhaps we were just a little bit too close together. And I apologize for creating fear and maybe not being as good of an example as we would like to be. Oh, I thought of one more thing. This room looks a little small, but last week we have 2 sets of double doors, and it was a warm day. So we had the room right open. We could feel the outdoors. So an excuse, but that was the situation. And we certainly are trying to always do a little better. If you have more comments about your concerns and suggestions, of course, we would like to hear from you. Okay, so Mother's Day for all of us. Looking at the Bardo and what that's about and what we're doing in this ruptured time. Then I would like to go on, let's see, to our Zen tradition, because there has been a lot of rupture in the history of our Zen tradition, in the history of our world. And at the time, about 1200 years ago, there were 2 wonderful, feisty masters who were trying to figure out what people should do during the ruptured time. It was a time of the An Lu Shan rebellion, where there was war, there was disease, there was devastation. And only 1 in 3 people survived that. 1 in 3. Yeah. So some of the information I got about these 2, and you might recognize their names. Matsu, and he's often called Old Ma, Matsu, Diao Yi, and Shito, Shitou, Shito, Shigyan. So Ma and Shito. Okay. So I'm appreciative of an article from another Zen teacher, Joan Sutherland, for some of this information. I've made some notes, and I'd like to share them with you because I think they're really pertinent and inspiring for us in this bardo that we're in. Okay. 1200 years ago in China, a few Chan, also known as Zen, and in Korean Sun, 1200 years ago in China, a few Chan innovators had a fierce desire to leap out of the usual ways of doing things and into new territory, not to escape the catastrophe looming around them, but to more fully meet it. So, in the bardo, not to escape, but to more fully meet the conditions. If they were going to be helpful, they had to develop, and quickly, flexibility of mind, an easy relationship with the unknown, and a robust willingness to engage with life as they found it. I'll do those three again. Flexibility of mind, an easy relationship with the unknown, and a robust willingness to engage with life as they found it. Perhaps most importantly, they needed a really big view. For them, Zen practice wasn't about getting free of the world, it was about being free in the world. So the two of them asked themselves, and they knew each other, though they had different styles, but they knew each other quite well and exchanged students often. So they asked themselves, what does it mean for each of us to be wholeheartedly part of the world? How do we fall willingly into the frightened, blasted, beautiful, tender world just as it is? And then Joan Sutherland puts in a comment by a scholar of Zen, Peter Hershock. It's not enough to see what Buddha nature is. You have to realize what Buddha nature does. And that's something I keep talking with you about what it is and that it's in all of us, and it's really very powerful in our very essence. But it's not about just knowing that, what it is, but how does it function? What can it do? Yeah, that's why sometimes in little Zen encounters, students and masters alike wake up and they say, well, how can you actually do something, not just say something or think something? Yeah. Matsu said to students, we need you to get clear now about your own nature and the nature of life so you can roll up your sleeves and do something about it. That's how powerful it is about getting clear and knowing the Buddha nature. It then comes out in some beautiful ways as we roll up our sleeves. Both Ma and Shitu were determined to reimagine what Zen practice was for. Because until then, it was largely an introspective meditation practice. Eyes looking down, eyes in. As Shito says, he was the quieter of two, what meets the eye, the eyes, is the way. So moment by moment, here, there, what meets the eye is the way. and that the way to come to terms with life's pain is not by turning away, but by moving deeper and encouraging others. It's interesting, sometimes I like to share with you how that's happening for us here. That, you know, life at the temple, you know, I think it's thought to be very idyllic. One time somebody said, "Oh, Haju," I was saying goodbye to her on the front porch many years ago. "Martha, are you out there? Do you remember this?" And you said, "Oh, it's so peaceful here. I sure wish I could be here more." And I said to her, "It is peaceful some of the time, but we have our share of life." Yeah. So we have been really turning toward dealing with the issues of life that come up. Yeah. And I find that really enlivening. I come awake when we turn toward the things that need to be addressed and address them, and then see what happens. And it's been surprising to see what a wholesome process it is. And we're still continuing because we still have some things that need to be taken care of. And I see that we're just developing Dharma strength, the Dharma muscle and spunk, to keep going with our community as we enter the next bardo and see what is next to be faced, embraced. Yeah. But let's get back to Matsu and Shito, my favorite two old guys right now. Let's see. So Shito says what meets the eye is the way, and that the ways to come to terms with the pain is not by turning away, but by moving deeper and encouraging others. What we do now, he said, what do we do now? We 1 in 3. So they were in the middle of a lot of death. What do we do, those who survive? Shito asks. Ma was passionate that responding to our time is an essential part of realization, so that we can do lots of meditation, try to wake up, but responding was also a part of that. For him, hell, this is interesting, for Matsu, hell wasn't the trouble he saw all around him. Hell was turning away from it, trying to escape into a separate peace, to a separateness. One of our residents, near the beginning of sheltering in, decided she had to turn toward the hell in her family back home. And so she has. And I could see that it was hell for her not doing that and staying. And finally she decided she had to go. And now that she's back, it's still hell. But she's where she needs to be. She knows. She's going to come back for a while because she needs to have a little space. But she's not going to stop facing the hell of sickness, of all kinds of difficulties back in Illinois. And then dear Ma said, whatever we are faced with, that is the way. And he's the one that said originally, ordinary mind is the way. Matsu. Yeah. And then Ma told students, lay and monastic, to go out. And this is a kind of koan. So hear this. Benefit what cannot be benefited. Do what cannot be done. Benefit what cannot be benefited. Do what cannot be done. Answer, what is that? No words. How about what would you just respond by doing something? Benefit what cannot be benefited, and do what cannot be done. This was quite a guy who would throw such things at his students, both lay and monastic, and ask them to digest and to do. He also said, put down your despair and hope. Put down your despair and hope. Begin with no position at all. And look what becomes possible when you do. It's another kind of koan. Put down your despair and hope. Begin with no position at all. And look what becomes possible when you do. Answer. Answer. See what time. Okay. So I think I'm going to leave that with you because I'm sure that each of you have a kind of koan, something that you cannot figure out with your rational mind. But actually, if you access the Buddha nature in the moment, there's almost always a way. And when there isn't a way, then that becomes the way too. So please be alert. Be alert. Here at the temple, one of the things that we're doing to respond, and I know some of our students are too, is we do a transference of merit every week. And we usually do it in the Buddha Hall. This is the, you can't see the whole thing, but this is our Jijong Posel statue. Jijong Posel is the Bodhisattva who has the archetype of willing to go to hell, wherever that may be of assistance. We chant Jijong Posel and we chant a special prayer, and we have a lot of people who've sent cards and names for us to keep on the altar. Once, this most recent one, a peaceful passing for Tracy Buckner, who died from complications of COVID-19, only 54 years old. And there's just many more for all of our incarcerated Sangha. Peace of mind for Edward Downing, who is facing progressive lung disease. A peaceful passing for Susie Boyd. There's just many, many different situations of all ages. So we have this transfer of merit service, and I would be happy to send you the service, we would, if you would like to make it a regular part of your week, even of your day. And there is a special Bardo prayer, which we could also send to you to read each day. Some people find them really essential parts of their practice in this Bardo these days. So I'm going to just read this and let you listen to it, and it will bring us to the end of yet another Sunday service in the Bardo. Aspiration for transference of merit. Throughout our lives until this very moment, whatever virtue we have accomplished, including any benefit that may come from our thoughts, words, and actions today, we dedicate to the welfare of all beings. May the roots of suffering diminish. May warfare, Violence, neglect, indifference, and addictions also decrease. May the wisdom and compassion of all beings increase now and in the future. May we clearly see all the barriers we erect between ourselves and others to be as insubstantial as our dreams. May we appreciate the great perfection of all phenomena. May we continue to open our hearts and minds in order to work ceaselessly for the benefit of all beings. May we lead a life of generosity, virtue, patience, perseverance, love, and courage. And then transference of merit. We honor the boundless virtue of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May their compassion embrace us. May their compassion penetrate deeply to all beings in the 10 directions and 6 realms of existence. May it extend to all members of our Sangha, here in Ann Arbor and in Chicago, Mexico City, New York, and Toronto. May it extend to our families and our communities. This morning, we especially hold the well-being of the following in our hearts and minds. And in your own heart and mind, allow the names of those whose well-being you wish to arise. May they be clear and unafraid amid the karmic winds which surround them. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Maha Prajna Paramita. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be enlightened. And the 4 great vows. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Blind passions, one root, I vow to terminate. Dharma gates, one mind, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to realize. Just before I pass you over to Ma'um for some announcements, I'd like to remind you, if you wish, the Bardo prayer, please be in touch, or if you wish this aspiration and transference of merit, the words, we can send them to you. And if there's anything else on your mind, please be in touch. It's always helpful to us here when we hear from you, so that as we look toward a very gradual reopening, we can be responsive in the best possible way for the safety of all. Okay, don't forget it's Mother's Day and really enjoy. however that is for you. Here's Mo.
Thank you. We continue to learn to work with our cameras. So good morning, everyone, and happy Mother's Day. We have just a few extra minutes today. So if you are joining the tea time, you have time, you have a moment, you can go and actually get some warm tea before you click on the link and join the tea time. All of our activities are posted on our Facebook page as well as in our e-bulletin. And so that's where you can go. And it just takes a moment to go look things up and click on the link and get into the meeting. Recovery Dharma also meets today at noon. Haji Sunim mentioned that we are happy to send you the Bardo prayer and the aspiration of merit. I've also written all of these cards into a transcript. So if you wish, I can send that to you as well. So you can offer your good wishes to the same people who are on our altar. Yeah. We continue to reimagine how we can be together in this time of social distancing. So please continue to send us your ideas. Discussions we're having at the temple right now, including opening up our doors, perhaps having a canopy in the backyard at some point so that people can come and meditate and be outside and maintain a social distancing. We're getting ready to offer the meditation course virtually. And we're happy to listen to any other ideas that you have. So please be well. Again, happy Mother's Day. And please nurture not only those around you, but also yourself. Oh, one more thing. I knew I was forgetting something. We continue to be grateful for those of you who donate to the temple and support our operations during this time of need. We know that resources are scarce, and so we appreciate your offerings in an extra special way. Thank you.
Yeah. Is it off now?